Balance and strength in the lower body are something that are invaluable if your goal is independent living as long as possible. And for many of us that are coming into the experience of having some frustrations or some challenges with memory, one of the reassuring thoughts is that, it's the part of our body that's being challenged with memory is not the part of our body and brain that learns balance and trains strength. Even though we might have some decline or some struggles in that area of recalling information or names, it doesn't mean that we still can't train our body and train our muscles to help support us on the journey ahead. So ChairYoga, accessible therapeutic ChairYoga like we do here at the Cognitive Empowerment Program, is really uniquely suited to foster independence, to help with that balance and strength training. But it's also a way to build awareness, help with attention, and focus as well. As we go through our session today, I'll give you different little cues and different places for you to place your attention. I'll say things like, notice the soles of your feet. And all of a sudden, we're bringing our attention away from all the problems and all the things that we pay attention to outside of ourselves and start redirecting some of that attention inward into what's my experience? What do I need? What am I feeling? And so we'll do that together a little bit. One of the things that we know is that doing these yoga practices and training our attention and training our memory is it also can help prevent or delay cognitive decline. So we'll go down some of these challenges this week. And the reminder for you as we get into it is take what works for you, like a big buffet, take the things you like that appeal to you, and leave the rest behind. Your body is the best teacher. It knows way better than I do what's best for you. So let's see if we can resource what we need from noticing what's happening on the inside today. And because we're working with balance, we're going to start out with the soles of our feet, where we connect with the earth below. And the foundation of our balance, whether we're seated or we're standing, is often in these legs. You can imagine if we have a goal to do things like step up stairs or move our legs and have these bones move in the sockets, that having some low body awareness and doing a little bit of movement can be really helpful. So let's start out there. Let's start out with the soles of the feet. You can slide your shoes off and place them to the side. You can keep your socks on if you want. But when we're building awareness in the feet, it's nice to have bare feet because all those little nerve endings on the soles of our feet can do things like connect with the surface or the texture of the floor underneath us. Yeah. And let's just start there. See if you can lift and lower your toes a few times, all 10 of them, or we joke sometimes at the Cognitive Empowerment Program, however many you've got left, however many have survived. And you might notice right off the bat that some of the toes are a little bit more cooperative than other toes. Maybe the big toe is a little easier to maneuver than the pinky toe is. Yeah. And you can notice as you start to move your feet around, there's this instinct to kind of look down at our feet. But see if you can bring your gaze straight ahead and just notice what's happening in your feet, where they're moving, by just using the information in those nerve endings. Yeah, without looking. Perfect. With your feet down nice and flat, take your last round there. And let's lift one heel off the floor and then switch over to the other heel. See if you can walk your heels right underneath your knees so that your shins are straight up and down. My feet aren't out in front of me. They're not behind me. Just feet right below knees. And you might start to notice what you're sensing in your calves and even in the soles of your feet and the arches of your feet. Notice what you're experiencing in your legs. Yeah. Come all the way back, feet on the floor. Let's see if we can come up onto both tippy toes a few times. If you've been working with me for a long time, you know that ankle stability is very important to us here at the Cognitive Empowerment Program. It's the foundation of where a lot of that balance starts. And if you've ever fallen or had a lot of instability, you might acknowledge that ankle strength is really helpful when we're talking about catching ourselves when we fall. Windshield wiper your knees back and forth a few times. See if you can roll to the outer edge of one foot and the inner edge of the opposite foot a few times. You might slide your hips around in the chair a little bit. And then coming all the way back to center, scoot your hips up a little bit more towards the edge of your chair. You can see I've got some space behind me. When we do that, all of a sudden we have to recruit low belly muscles and back muscles a little bit. See if you can use some of those muscles that support good posture as you bring your hips up to the edge of the chair. Yeah. And then you can come up onto lifting those heels one at a time if that works better for your body today. If your legs don't lift, feel free just to lift your toes as an alternative. Or we're going to start to warm up those legs a little bit. And come into whatever version of a high knee march works for you. You can bring your hands to the back of your thighs if that works to help lift your legs. You could use a little something to make your arms longer, like a yoga belt or a yoga strap. Yeah. You could also bring your hands to the front of your knees if that works for your body. And just finding what works for you is the best invitation today. See if you can notice what your body likes, what your body needs, and then make those choices according to what feels best to your bones and your muscles. Yeah. Let's do one or two more on each round and then add in a little bit more challenge. See if you can lift your right arm, left knee. So we've got opposite arm, opposite elbow here, which is really nice to get some of that communication happening across the left and right hemispheres of our brain. The left hemisphere of our brain controls the right side of the body and vice versa. So we're getting some really nice cognitive work here. You might even add in a little twist as you move your elbow and knee towards one another. Maybe they don't come close at all, no big deal, but we're just getting a little bit of a twist through some of those back muscles. Be mindful of taking care of your back if you've got any sensitivities or chronic pain there. And we'll continue these last few for 5, 4, 3, 2, and last one, come all the way back, feet flat on the floor. And this time we're going to walk our feet out a little bit wider than that hip width distance apart. Walk your feet out a little bit wider than the legs of your chair, and then turn your toes out slightly. Notice how automatically we get some engagement from those outer hips and inner thighs that are so helpful when we're talking about lifting the legs and climbing and stepping independently. And then notice that as you sit upright and adjust your posture here, some of us want to kind of lean forward a little bit with our posture. Some of us want to lean back a little bit with our posture. See if you can bring your chest a little bit more over your hips. Keep your knees widening out in the direction of your pinky toes here. As you inhale, bring your arms up overhead. Whatever works for your shoulders today, make this arm circle your own. We're going to start to link the breath with the movement a little bit. As you inhale, stretch up. Exhale back all the way down through center. And let's start nice and fresh and clear here. Inhale, arms up overhead. Exhale back down. Here in the Atlanta area, yesterday was the first day of spring. We had spring equinox yesterday. You might imagine as you inhale, almost like a flower kind of opening up and blooming towards the sun. You might stretch up through a strong back and exhale and let go of some of the stagnant air in your lungs that might have been hanging around a little bit. Inhale, take a fresh breath in. Exhale, clearing out what's old and no longer useful as you inhale and welcome in what's next. Two more, just like that. Big breath in. Your practice may look very different than mine, and that's to be encouraged today. It might look different than the person practicing next to you. And we know that when we choose what's best for our body, that's a form of self-care. Keep those feet nice and wide. But this time, we're going to step that left foot out a little bit more towards a straight knee. Rest your heel on the floor. Point your left big toes up towards the ceiling a little bit. You can see that little bit of a flex in my foot. You might even point and flex a little bit. Yeah. That right knee stays put, right foot on the floor as the anchor to keep us from falling over. The next time you flex your foot, notice that left leg is out to the side, but keep the right knee pointing straight ahead. Very nice. Inhale, stretch one arm up. And exhale, we're going to slide that left hand down that straighter leg. Inhale, coming all the way back up. Use the strength of your belly and your back. Exhale, as you get into your side body, try to open up and stretch all those muscles that wrap around the right side of your ribs. Inhale, up. Exhale, stretch. Last one. Inhale, come all the way back up. Big reach. Exhale, glide down your leg without adding too much weight. Stay here for one or two nice fuller breaths in and out. Inhale, come all the way back up. Strong back. Slide your feet back side by side to switch. Stretch your right heel out to the side. Point your right big toes up a little bit. But keep that left foot right underneath your knee. This is the anchor in the water here that keeps us nice and still in the chair. Notice that posture. Draw a little bit more open quality across those shoulders and collarbones. Very nice. This time, turn and stretch that left arm up overhead. And this time, slide down the right side. Inhale all the way back up. Exhale to reach. And we know that when we stretch the side of the body like this, especially for those of you that have chronic pain in your low back, we're giving that back a little bit more space, a little bit more room. So we don't get all that tugging sensation up and down our spine. Last one, hold for one or two breaths in and out. Inhale up. Exhale to release. Bring your feet back side by side. Walk those feet as close as they're willing to come comfortably. Take a few windshield wipers side to side with your knees. Very nice. Maybe you're starting to feel a little bit more warmed up in your low back and legs. Let's make sure that we extend some of that open quality into our shoulders and the back of our neck. With an inhale, lift your shoulders up towards your ears. Like when you used to ask the kids questions and they say, I don't know. Yeah. See if you can shrug those shoulders up. Take a big breath in. Exhale out of your mouth. With a sigh of relief. Inhale, big breath in, shoulders up. Last one, big breath in. Almost like We're releasing a little bit of that extra pressure or weight that we carry on our shoulders. With your arms alongside your torso, we'll come into mountain pose. And as you sit up a little bit upright, notice the strength of your back and belly muscles. Try to use some of those strong back muscles to pull your shoulders open and maybe even stretch your hands back. Yeah. Inhale, stretch your arms up overhead, whatever your capacity for your shoulders is today. Exhale, back through center. 2 more, just like that. A big breath in. Exhale together. And 1 more, big breath in. As you exhale and come all the way back through center, you can keep your feet side by side like this or cross your ankles. Automatically, the legs have to do a little work to keep from splaying out here. You might use the strength of your hips and knees to keep your legs squeezing in towards one another. And you can get that squeeze whether legs are side by side or crossed ankles. And then again, we're going to open up with that nice big chest. But this time, see if you can cross your arms to hug yourself and grab onto whatever you can reach here with your hands. Yeah. Take the back stretch. Let your elbows and your chin drop down towards your lap. Round your back a little bit. Take that stretch in the back of your neck and your upper shoulders. And then we're going to open up the chest. Stretch your arms nice and wide. Reach through your fingertips as you reach towards whatever the wall or chair is behind you. Open up your chest. Exhale, switch the cross of your arms. This time, left arm on top. Inhale to open. Right arm goes on top. Exhale to close. Drop your chin and chest. Inhale, nice open flower. Exhale to close and almost collapse here, like we're making a little cave for ourselves. Inhale, big stretch out. Last 2, just like that, as we bloom and unfold, noticing that we have the capacity to do both, to be nice and big and open, and also to close when we need to be protective or feel safe. Inhale, open to stretch. And then exhale, uncross your ankles, bring your feet back flat to the floor. And let's just move some of that blood and fluid around a little bit. See if you can start to, almost like you're going as fast as you can with your feet. See if you can come up onto tippy toes and get your legs nice and quick, like we're jogging in the neighborhood for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. If you've ever had blood clots in the legs or anything about that, you know the importance of that blood circulating in your calves. So coming back to that lower body effort that we've been working through, one of the reasons we want to prevent falls and live independently is because we know that falls cost a lot of money and a lot of our time when we get into those big injuries. And if you've got one of the homes that has small pets in it or things around the house, it's important to be able to step over things in our effort not to fall. So we're going to work on that a little bit, almost as though we're picking up the leg. You can either use your hands or hands to hips for support here. We're going to pick that right leg up and over and set it out to the side. Yeah. Then we're going to step over that small dog as we bring that foot all the way back together to switch sides. Inhale, left leg goes up and over the obstacle. You can see I've got some blocks here to step over. Inhale, back to center. Let's do that a few times, switching our legs out each time, like we're stepping over whatever our capacity is to lift our legs and move them around today. Yeah. Hands and behind thigh is a really nice way to get some support. But if you need to work on strength per se, you can challenge yourself to bring your hands to your hips and lift your legs up and over those. Let's do one more on each side. And then slide your hips up to the edge of the chair. And again, fast feet for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. With your feet down nice and flat, find that hip width distance apart with your knees and your feet. So we've got the bones neutral in the sockets. Bring your arms out into little cactuses. Elbows bent, palms facing forward. Yeah. If you've had some of those shoulder rotator cuff issues, or you want healthy shoulders, we'll work through this next round in that effort. Inhale, arms up overhead. Squeeze your biceps in towards your ears. Exhale, elbows out, nice broad chest again. Yeah, great job. Inhale up. Exhale down. Let's do a few rounds of this arms up overhead. Really useful to be able to continue to reach over to the top of the fridge or get things out of the top shelf. We want these shoulders to be able to mobilize in a full range of motion. Exhale, come all the way back to those cactus arms. Really nice. And this is a little bit of a cognitive challenge to follow along with. We're going to be kind and compassionate to ourselves, whatever the challenge that arises. See if you can bring those forearms parallel to the floor and then inhale them back up towards the vertical. Yeah. Exhale down. Inhale up. Elbows stay wide, start to finish. Let's do a few rounds like this. As things get difficult, the tendency is to hold our breath. See if you can keep that flowing no matter what arises. One more like that. Ooh, I'm already starting to feel the burn. Maybe you are too. Come all the way back up. And this time, elbows drop back into the sides of our ribs. Very nice. Turn your palms facing up like we're serving drinks at a cocktail party. Yeah. And we're holding the trays in our palms, palms up. Keep those elbows pulling in towards your rib cage as you rotate your palms out to the side, almost like we're bringing our palms out in line with our shoulders here. So palms go in front of our body and then out to the side. You might feel that squeezing together of the bottom tips of your shoulder blades. That's what we want here. That little bit of engagement right in the middle of your back where those shoulder blades start to come together. Very nice. 2 more, just like that. Take your time, slow down, and be thankful for whatever it is that your body offers in movement today. Last one. Come all the way back to center. We're almost done. This time, stretch your arms out straight in front of you. A little superhero moment here. Arms go up and then back down. 2 more. Big breath in. And then back down. Shoulders nice and soft. Big breath in. Exhale back. And then let's roll it out a little bit. Yeah, great job. Great body. Whatever your body offered today, we'll accept it with a little bit of grace and gratitude. We've got so much already that is difficult or hard in our lives. There's no sense in adding on to it with any of our negative self-talk. Notice when that tendency arises and see if you can counterbalance any of that negative self-talk, especially as we get into balance with some words of encouragement. Roll your shoulders forward a few times. All right, we've done all this good leg work, all this good upper body work. Let's just get into a little stretch of the spine before we end up some of our balance together in these last 15 minutes. Walk your feet and knees as close as they are comfortable or comfortably. And just like we did earlier, we're going to cross the left arm on top, then the right arm on top. Let gravity do some of the work here, opening up your chest as long as it feels safe for your shoulders. And then we're going to switch it up. This time, arms go up overhead, elbows towards the ceiling. One last round. As you come to center, we're going to get into some twisting in the spine. Really great work if you've been having any chronic pain or anything that you're working in the spine. A little bit of twisting in our back is almost like taking a wet dish rag and wringing it out, and all the old blood and lymph fluid goes out of the tissue. And just like that wet dish rag, when we bring it back and bring a little bit of fresh fluid into some of these muscle tissues, it's a little bit healthier, especially when we've got some inflammation happening. So adjust your posture, find that shoulder and head stacked right over your hips. Very nice. And we're going to start to turn our upper body over to the right. Notice my knees don't move. It's just the upper body. You might even grab onto your legs or whatever if you want a little bit of assistance here, and help use your hands on your body to help turn your body open to the right. And you might even look over your right shoulder, like we're looking for someone behind us on the street that's calling our name. Get that twist, not just through your low back and middle back, but also through your upper back, all the way through the back of your neck. Take 1 or 2 big breaths in and out. And release back to center. Let's switch. This time, keep your knees and feet still and twist over to the left side with your upper body. Grab onto your legs or whatever you need. You can also do hands to hips as you turn your chest open to the left. Maybe even looking over your left shoulder behind you. Inhale to center. Windshield wiper your knees left or right a few times. And we've been working on these balance challenges. What's interesting in yoga is that as we get the skill sets needed to balance physically, lower body strength, core strength, coordination, and confidence, sometimes those things can also translate to a little bit more balance emotionally or with our thoughts. And we know this brain and this body and our experience of life are connected. So a lot of times moving our body can be a really helpful medicine to help move and process emotions and thoughts, things that are coming up to surface that we want to move out of our, habits or out of our consciousness or out of our awareness, especially when they're negative self-talk that we get stuck in. So you can do the next round seated. Feel free to continue to sit down. Everything will look very familiar as we get into the next round. Or we're going to come to standing, working through a few phases. Just like we did earlier, opposite knee, opposite elbow, as you start to come into this cross-body lower leg lift. Get a little bit of the twist in your back. And this is something that we can do as an alternative to the sit to stands that we're about to get started on. These lower body strengtheners are not always the funnest, not always my favorite, but they always pay off, right? We do them for the after effects. You can continue here with this cross body march, or place both feet flat on the floor And either grabbing on to opposite shoulders or the back of your chair, we're going to lean forward, hips at the edge of the chair, and then we're going to lean back. Yeah, let's do some of these sit-ups just like this to get those core belly muscles fired up. You can see we don't have to be laying on the floor to get the beneficial effects of these sit-ups. I can feel my belly and my back working in the chair. You probably can too. This may be enough for us. We may stop and stay here in these sit-ups. Or the next time that you lean forward, you might power through your legs with a nice big breath in to stand. Yeah. Do the sit-ups, or we'll take some sit to stands. You choose. Hips stretch back towards the chair, but try to keep your chest and chin lifted if you're taking the sit to stands. Yeah. We're just going to all continue together for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Come all the way back up, shake it out a little bit. Feel free to stay in the seat if that works best for you. But we have the option to sit or stand in this next round. And you can see if you've got a chair or a countertop close by, we're going to bring one hand to the back of that chair or countertop. Let's start with the left hand. Bring your left hand to something that's nice and still. You can see my chair is not sliding around the room. It's nice and stable to help me stay nice and tall. And whether you're seated or you're standing, see if you can separate your feet hip width distance apart. Very nice. We're going to come into lifting and lowering our toes again, just like we started with. Remember, the foundation of our balance is right here in the soles of our feet. And you can keep lifting and lowering the toes, or you might play around with a few of those heel raises. Notice the strength of your calves. And if this is a little too unstable with hand to the back of the chair, you could also walk your back up against the wall and just have the wall back behind you to catch you as well. Yeah, 1 or 2 more. Come all the way back with your left hand on the back of the chair if you're standing. Everybody feet hip width distance apart. Slide your left foot forward. Some of us may want to stay here, big toe just resting on the floor in front of us. But wherever you're at, adjust your posture. Stack your head over your hips. We know that helps with balance. You could stop here or float that left foot to hover. Whether you're seated or you're standing, or bend your knee a little bit and just lift that foot up one more place. Even if your foot is resting on the floor, we've got that right leg standing, getting a lot stronger here. And if you're all that strength building in your left thigh. And release. Shake it out a little bit. Very nice. One last round here. This time, slide your right foot forward. Adjust your posture. Find that good picture day posture. Shoulders back. The head always wants to jut forward. See if you can pull the head back too. Stay here or float that right foot to hover. Strong standing leg if you're standing. You can stay here or bend your knee a little bit and lift your foot up one more place. And that's always optional, but you can see I'm holding on to the chair start to finish. Find your breath for 3, 2, 1. Release. Place those feet down nice and solid. Mountain pose. Arms alongside your torso. Open up and stretch through your fingertips. Bring your right hand to your right hip. With an inhale, stretch your left arm up overhead. Take a big breath in. Exhale, one last round of side stretch. Inhale up. Exhale to stretch. Last two. Big breath in. Exhale to stretch. Inhale up. Exhale, hands to hips. Inhale, this time right arm goes up. Keep with it. Exhale to the side. Two more. Inhale up. Exhale and release. Very, very nice. Roll your shoulders out a few times. Give a little bit of a round of applause for all the good effort that you gave today. Working on boundaries, no easy task. It is ultimately challenging no matter what you're faced with or what challenges that you have ahead. But when we spend that little bit of time, when we steal that little bit of time away from the rest of our life to work on it, we know it's an investment in taking care of ourselves and also working towards being as independent as we can as long as possible. So thank you guys for your effort.